Hi guys, I'm Lisa,
And I'm Natasha.
and we were wondering.
Are you free for coffee?
Welcome.
Hello, guys. Happy
What-
Wednesday.
Today we are tackling another kind of hot topic. There's a new movie coming on Netflix this week.
It should be this week, yeah.
Yes, called Passing. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the term, it's when people, usually light-skinned Black people, pass for Caucasian. And there's a history of that in the African American community.
Yeah.
And lots of families have relatives or
Stories
people
or
they
know of someone who's done it.
Passed. Actually, the director,
Yes. Rebecca Hall. Yeah.
her maternal grandfather, that was his story. He passed for white. So that was kind of interesting. So it's a personal story for her.
For her, yes. Even though this story is not about her family, she just, like many African Americans, had someone in her family who had done this thing.
Right.
And so this isn't new at all.
No,
it may be an unfamiliar term to you, but it's not new. There are movies well before this. One of them, Pinky, is a movie that has to do with a young lady who is passing. She is wonderful. She's like a whiz at science, but she's a young Black girl and won't get far unless she decides to pass. And so, and I haven't seen it in many years, but from what I remember, she goes to school to become a nurse. She falls in love with someone, and he does not know that she's Black. He doesn't know that she's Black. This is actually my favorite movie, Imitation of Life.
There's two
versions. My favorite is 1930. Yeah. And Lisa's is what, 59?
59.
Yeah. So that your favorite version is 59.
It's the same story of a girl that passes. Although there's men, like the director, it was her grandfather
who did it
that passed. So it's both sexes. It was much more common in the past.
Right.
And we were talking about this before we came on to you guys. Of course, racism was so much more brutal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then, I mean, of course we've had George Floyd and some police brutality and things now. So we have seen brutality, current day brutality. But it was much more brutal and accepted then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There were no repercussions for you killing a Black person.
Not even social repercussions. So, yeah, the kind of life that you could have, it definitely elevated you.
Yes.
In some sense.
Yes, and it gave you more opportunities, and I totally understand it. Now, in my family, I'm fair. On both sides of my family, my maternal grandmother was half white. And on my father's side, his mother looked white, although she was not. But other African Americans, Black people come in all shades, from alabaster to blue black.
Yeah. So
my grandmother's family they were all very, very, very fair and lived in a community in Ohio where everybody was like that.
Okay.
And they intermarried, a lot of times. Although my grandfather, she did not marry another very fair person. But of her children, my father is brown skinned, but all his siblings are very fair. So there's just people that look like that are not
attempting to pass or anything like that.
Or not, biracial or
that's
anything.
Okay, that's another fair point, is that we come in all shades. And so not everyone is, now you hear mixed. And, whether you call it biracial or multiracial or mixed, some people are just fair skinned. That's just what it is.
Her family, very fair and light eyes, which I have.
Right.
And my sibling and my cousins. So, it is what it is.
And it's really interesting because if you follow us and you've seen our Instagram, we do have pictures of us, and you are more fair than I am. The kicker is I'm half white. So
so that tells you
it just goes to show
it's genetics.
You never know.
And then even I remember talking to somebody, a science person, because my dad is brown skinned, and he was saying, but your dad, even though your dad looks brown skinned, his genetics are light.
The dominant genes and recessive genes.
So it's a whole thing. But
and it is, because I have 2 brown children. Like, I'm
so you don't
the
know
only
what
fair skinned person in my house. You're right.
Which is, we were talking about this too, which is the reason I could not do it.
Girl, I couldn't do it.
Because
one night of passion could cost you your life.
Right. I would have to be sterilized, because I would not take the chance, because you really don't know what's going to happen with that. So
that is the absolute truth, though. It really, that would be my biggest fear.
Yeah.
Is that
I couldn't take the stress.
And I would not want to love someone who hates who I am at my core, whether they know that I'm Black or not. If you watch the preview for Passing, there are 2 women who obviously have known each other somewhere, in the past. Maybe they were friends or neighbors, but they knew each other. And the passing lady, who is married to one of my crushes, just this scene made me not like him, but he was one of the main vampires on True Blood. And you all already know I love all things animated, all things vampires. And she asked him, "Oh, so you don't care for Black people?" And he says, "No, it's not that. I hate them." And the friend who's passing is just kind of giggling and laughing. And it just to know that he really hates who you are at your core. I couldn't live with myself. I couldn't sleep with this man.
The significant other, in my case, would have to know.
Yes. Yeah. You would have to be protecting me. I would be passing.
But
you know who I am, but
then how many white men would do that? I don't know. Maybe they would.
Yeah, we don't know.
There
are cases where that has happened.
It is a time old, I want to say, tradition, but it really was very common.
Very,
very, very common. And there's white families, and now with so much genealogy, people are so interested in that.
Yes.
They start digging, and you find out there's a lot in your family tree that you didn't know about.
Yes.
So there's whole branches of people's families that are African American,
and they would have never known.
But I totally understand why people did it. And even now it's so common. There's so interracial relationships and marriages and biracial, multiracial children. People adopt children of other colors. It's so common now. But in the not too distant past, it was not.
So my parents were married in the late 70s. My mom is Black. My dad is white. And they could not have a wedding. Now I want you to think, because 1979...
It's not that long.
It's not long ago. Yeah. Okay. It's literally almost the 80s. They could not have a wedding. So because of some sabotage, they actually got married on Juneteenth. And that was like their little dig at everybody, was that they were married on Juneteenth. And I came along later, almost 10 years later. And people thought that my dad was kidnapping us when we were kids. We've gotten nasty looks. We've gotten, "Do you need help?" It
was not a common. It was not a common thing.
It's been in the last 10 to 15 years that it's started to be more prevalent. And you look,
and
I would say 10 years.
And
I would even say 10.
Nobody cares.
Because when I went to school, the first question, I'm sure you got this: "What are you mixed with?"
I hated that.
That was so annoying.
What does it matter? You mixed with? What? Who in your family's white? What are you? I get mistaken for Hispanic a lot of times. Now that hasn't happened to me in years, and I can't tell you what a relief it is.
Yeah.
Not to, because you
but
always
when we were younger,
feel like you have to explain.
Yes. And you have to whip out a whole family tree trying to explain.
And you're on the defensive, and you're embarrassed, and all kinds of things. As I got older, I could shut it down.
Right.
But in my younger life, it was hard. It just was a constant dig.
Well, and my siblings and I, we all have the same face and different skin tones, right? So people see us and they say, "Oh, you all don't look alike." Yes, we literally look just alike. We're just different colors. And same thing with my kids. People, now, when you saw my kids, you immediately were like, your daughter looks just like you. Your son looks just like your husband, which is true. But because she's darker than me, the first thing they say, "Oh, she looks just like her daddy." No, she's closer to skin tone. Mm-hmm. She's literally me reincarnated. Mm-hmm. She looks just like me. And that is colorism. Yes. Colorism is, you look at me and I'm fair skinned. You look at my husband and he's chocolate. You look at my child who is somewhere in this peanut butter realm, but because she's not light, oh, she looks like him. No, she doesn't look like him.
And you look at one or the other more favorably.
Correct.
So that is what colorism kind
is.
Of a thing. And the sad thing is it's not only in the white community towards us.
It's in the black community.
Within, among ourselves.
In the 90s, there was a lot of the term light is right. And so there was this huge push. You look at movies like House Party, and the golden girl, the girl that everyone wants, is always the fair-skinned girl. Mm. Well, what's a trip is in a lot of these movies, the darker-skinned girl is obviously the prettier girl. But that is colorism. And that's an internal issue. That's colorism within the black community, where we're glorifying people that have lighter skin tones. And so you're right. That's something that happens in our culture and around.
We were trained to think that. You were trained to think that. But the sad thing is, whatever tone you are, I hate people pointing it out or elevating it or even praising you for things that you have no control over.
Yes.
You get what you get. Nobody
You were not in the sperm saying, "Hey, I want to have green eyes."
You get what you get.
Yes.
And so, because,
I agree with you.
People on the other side, you get, what's a word? Singled out.
Yes, you do.
For something, and people would say something to me about it, and I'm an introvert, so I am not always real talkative, and especially in my younger days. Now I can be, I can
more talk, more so.
But then I just was kind of shy and kept to my. Of course, they read that as you're stuck up. Yes. And you think you're cute, and
and there are people listening right now thinking, "Oh my gosh, I never thought
that
of
was
this.
My life."
But whether you were around someone who was like us and they weren't stuck up, they just had been asked a million times, "What are you?" I got to the point where I would say human.
Or people would ask me, "What nationality are you?" Which, I'm like American,
yeah.
Like,
what do you mean?
But, I guess, I don't know what they thought.
I was born in the US of A.
If I was, Mexican
Hispanic or
something. But, yeah. So
it's exhausting. It is.
But it also, in other communities, it's prevalent too. In the Indian community, in Hispanic communities.
Yeah. And even the campaigns and tabloids and advertising, if you know people who are from Pakistan, most of the time they're closer to my husband's tone, but the only ones you see on the forefront of these magazines are the very fair, very blemish-free, and that's common for Brazil. That's common for the Middle East. It's
common people of color. Anyone, color.
Yes,
like the
whole world over,
because white people are the ones running campaigns, so they're
going to put whoever's closest to them. That's right.
That they're putting their own image out,
and that that intensifies colorism, something that really should already have just disappeared, right? But it intensifies it, and then it also adds to code switching. It adds, and if you don't know what code switching is, I'll use myself as an example. Code switching for me would be things that I can say and be at peace with when I'm with Lisa or someone else who is a person of color who perhaps understands my background or the meanings of the words I'm using. And then I get in front of someone else who most of the time is someone who is of another race or someone who could be white. And you have to switch your terminology. You have to switch the words that you use so that it's not seen or misinterpreted or misconstrued. That is code switching. And
it's reading the racial and cultural room.
Yes.
That's what I say.
And for any Black person that's ever worked a job anywhere, you have probably had to code switch.
Yes.
My husband is a really, really big guy. And anyone that knows him, he's really funny. He's really cool. He's really sweet. But he looks intimidating. And he's the kind of guy where you're going to like cross the street because this guy is huge. And he's probably one of the least violent people I know. Where I'm fair skinned, but I would be the one to slap the hell out of you. You're not going to cross the street, but you're not going to cross the street because, I'm this fair skinned girl that's much, much smaller than him. And it's just the whole perception. Mm-hmm. And so having to change the words you use, changing slang, and this, like, don't confuse this. This isn't the N word. These are just little sayings, things that we grew up with that other people
but don't know. I know it is racial, but then not always, because sometimes think about young people or when you were younger, there's things that you would, say to your friends that you wouldn't say to your parents. It's that same thing. It's just reading the room.
Like the word, oh, that's dope. I remember saying that. Mom was like, what? I was like, it's dope. She was like, what the hell is dope? I'm like, like it's cool. She was like, girl, dope is a drug. Don't say that. And I was like, no, Mom, not like cocaine. She was like, that's what dope is. And so that, she hates that word.
Some of it is that.
Yes.
Just things, you're just going to loosen up around your friends. Yeah. There's things that you're going to discuss.
You're just more comfortable.
Things you're going to, laugh at with them that you would not with other people.
Yes. And even
some of it's that.
Well, think of like a work atmosphere. There are things that we can say here, we can say to each other, we can say on the podcast. I'm not going to go into work and say that.
Yes.
Like, that's just not appropriate.
And that is not racial.
Correct.
That is just...
that would be marked as professionalism, wouldn't it? That's how it would be
cultural. Or even age-wise, slang or things that you discuss and talk about.
That's true.
Some of that is age.
I agree.
Too, I think. The older you get, the less you have. The less you have.
That's what my mom says. She was like, girl, I
like that.
We don't care about that. I'm like, But yeah, so it does all revolve around.
But code switching is really, it is reading the room.
It is.
It is reading the room. And I think.
And it almost takes talent, I'm going to say.
Can it be taught? Do you think that's something that can be taught?
It absolutely is taught.
Okay.
And an example that I will give, so my mom was one of the first Black seamstresses for Neiman Marcus. And my mom is much older. My mom is Lisa's parents' age. So I just came along a lot later, like a lot. And she just grew up, everything was segregated. That's just how it was. Mm-hmm. She walked 7 miles to go to school. There were families that would let their dogs loose, throw rocks. I mean, just horrendous stuff. And we would go to certain places and Natasha, you need to stand up straight. Do not use the word ain't. Do not use the word can't. Make sure and we could be around family and it was just, slapping knees and laughing and I ain't gonna do that. But when you got around certain people, you better brush up your vocabulary. You hold your chin up, you put your shoulders back. And I think that was a taught thing. I think my mom grew up in a time where if you wanted any chance at supporting your family, you better present yourself a certain way. Mm-hmm. And so she taught it to us and it made me really a better student. I did stand out among my peers because my mom was so much older and their parents were far more lax. Now, my parents were really, really, really loosey-goosey on certain rules. So I don't mean lax in that way, but my parents, you tucked in your shirt when you went to gym. You made sure your gym clothes were picked out. No, you change underwear. You just were sweating out there running. You get a Ziploc bag, you change them, you put on your clothes for school. They cared about how you presented yourself in that way. Mm-hmm. A very working class type of way. Yes. And the words that you used, mm-hmm. like they were very big on that. And most of my friends, because their parents were really old enough to be my parents' child, mm-hmm. it was just way more relaxed. Like, oh, girl, no one cares. And I was just like, yeah, my mom will kill me. I'm going to go change my underwear and then I'll put on my regular school clothes and I'm just going to wash my gym clothes. And it in that way, it was very taught. It was very taught.
I think in some families it is taught, in some it is not. but it can be learned.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I was thinking, there's some rappers you think, and you hear them early on in their careers, and they are so hard.
Let's name a few.
And so, Jay-Z is who I was thinking
Okay,
about.
I knew you were going to say him.
Because, in earlier in their careers, they're very,
everything is about the hood.
Rap.
Everything, yes.
Kind of, yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's their audience.
LL Cool J is a great example.
But as you see,
Ice Cube is a great
gotten
example.
older,
yeah, they've learned to read the room.
They are way different.
Yes.
And when you hear Jay-Z in a meeting
Snoop
with
Dogg,
something, just so
well spoken, so researched,
professional,
yes. Almost regal.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it can be taught. And the thing is, interestingly enough, it does need to be taught, because say you get pulled over,
yes,
especially a young black man.
Yeah.
Although women have been in trouble too,
yes.
but especially men. How you present yourself to that police officer
matters.
Could be the difference between you coming home or not.
And that's another example. Growing up, that was the thing with my parents. And I remember being in the car and my dad got pulled over, and I was so angry. I mean, just face red, torn up. And he was like, Tasha, what's wrong? I was like, you don't have to do any of the stuff that mom says we have to do, because he's a white man.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do any, and it wasn't that what he was doing was wrong or disrespectful. It was just my mom's whole thing of, hurry up, get all of your stuff, put it on the dashboard, keep your hands on the wheel, sit up, make sure you look out of the window, roll the window all the way down. Like, we knew every single step. And my dad, the guy came up, be respectful. Yes, sir.
How you
no,
talk
sir.
to him.
Yes. And my dad just, hey, we got a problem.
So that's something to know.
Yes.
That is something to know. So
it also speaks to where code switching and colorism collide.
Yes.
Because the fact that my dad, blonde hair, blue eyes, was able to be going 20 miles over the speed limit. We're coming out of the country, and there's like no one there. We don't know where this cop came from. I mean, there's no one there, just us cows and bales of hay. But he can be speeding. Wait till the cop comes up to roll down this window. Hey, we got a problem, officer. Like, stuff that I would never
might get you in trouble.
Yes, it would get me in trouble. It would certainly get my husband in trouble. It would certainly get my son in trouble. But he was able to do it. And yes, he got a ticket. Of course he got a ticket. It was going 20-some miles over the speed limit. Luckily, he only got a ticket. But it just proves just how lax he could be.
Yes.
How I could never.
Yes.
I could never. My husband could never. And so that is where code switching is almost, you have to know how to read the room.
Yes. I do. I mean,
it's sad that it has to exist, but it does.
Though, because I feel like
no, because it's just code switching.
Everybody just needs to know how to read a room and what to say.
Proceed with caution.
I guess that's really important. So that's something to teach your kids and grandkids. And if you're a school teacher, you're the kids you teach just. Okay, so in this situation,
this is what you should behave.
Yeah. This is how you should behave. So,
and you don't treat this like you treat your friends.
Right.
This is not a game. This isn't your little friend. I don't know if that's a black thing or not, but I'm not one of your little friends.
Right.
And these are
not role playing is important. I think role playing, like with job interviews.
Yes.
With in situations.
It's a life skill.
That's kind of a thing you probably should be doing with your kids.
Yes.
In this situation, this is what you do. This is how you act.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and you think about these young people that have been killed, and this has nothing to do with race. It's just them acting belligerently and like, hello, this is not how you act. Like, if you get pulled over by the police, I don't care if you're in the right or in the wrong. It doesn't matter. Like, just don't act like this.
Don't do that.
Because you look like you're the bad guy. You're being belligerent. They don't know where you're putting your hands. And it just blows my mind, because I think I just was raised not to do this.
Me too.
But Lisa has a saying, and I love it. Everyone grows up, but not everyone gets raised. And it's just the truth. I run into people, even my own age, and I'm like, who raised you? Like,
but everything you've been taught.
Yeah.
So a lot of people that don't know have not been taught.
That's true.
They have really not been taught, because I used to get mad about that. Like, well, how can so-and-so not know this? And I remember somebody asked me, well, who taught you? And yeah, that's true.
That's
I just didn't come out the womb knowing it.
Yeah.
Somebody taught you. And so if you weren't privileged enough for somebody to teach you certain things, then what do you,
but that's
what
true.
Do you know?
That's so true.
So
then how would you know?
Sometimes, you're the one to teach.
Yes.
Sometimes
Very
you
much
be
so.
the one to teach young people.
And sometimes people your own age.
Yeah.
You will be
some of it just your actions though.
Yeah.
How you act is a good representation. I mean,
yes.
It was for me. I remember older women taking me under their wing. Really, it was more how to run a home and how to entertain and things that I really did not do. But I learned how to do that. I was a great student, but I was so it was so I hadn't been around people that had, place settings for 50.
Right.
Or
right.
Or real, I don't know, silver and just entertain like that. I just didn't grow up like that. So it was wonderful to be around women like that. Yeah. And they were so kind.
And now it's something you are amazing at.
So you can learn.
Yeah.
You can learn.
Now, if you want to, you can learn anything.
And they were kind enough to show me. So I try to be that person, not so much for entertaining, because nobody's asking me about that, but just other things, because everybody didn't grow up with things that you know. And even this could very well help someone mend a relationship or just show empathy to someone. Yes. Respect. Just respect. Respect your elders. Because we're all different, but we're really also alike. Yes. We're all so alike. And I think we just take personal offense when someone's different. Why they say it like that? Well, that just may be how everyone and their mama say it around their family. We all are not the same. We didn't grow up the same. Yes. We didn't have the same set of circumstances. Yes. Yeah. We are all looking at every issue through our lenses. Correct. How we grew up, our feelings, our life experiences, all those things. And no two people are alike, even your siblings. Yeah, even though some of it was the same, some of it wasn't. Very different, yeah. So, you have to be kind with people. But if you know about this and you can be a help to a young person, it would be a great thing, because not everybody was privileged, right, to know about it, and it could be really the difference of them getting a job and not, being safe or not, getting a promotion or not, so feeling comfortable at work. Yes, there have been studies. Taraji P. Henson, but Taraji does a lot on the African American community and mental health, and she interviewed. It was a pretty large sample actually for this study, and most of their stress came from work, and it was because you can never be yourself at work. Yeah. It's like, oh, I'm a genius, I'm a scientist, I do all of this stuff, but if it's presented from Tyrone, it's already marked as this. And it was just sad. It was not unique. That's the sad part. I think people see this, they're like, oh, that must be unique to that field or that group. No, it's not. It's not. We're telling you it's the truth. It happens. So if this doesn't do anything but spur empathy, I think that would be my happiest takeaway, because I agree. It can be long suffering for people. Mm-hmm. It really can. And like you say, it can be the difference between someone getting a job or someone being treated fairly in the passed office. Over for a promotion. Yes. Or, oh, well, her hair is this way. Let me tell y'all something. We're going to talk about, that's going to be another episode. That's going to be another one. But I am going to tell you this. I don't knock how Jesus made your hair. Don't knock how Jesus made mine. Okay? Because if he wanted it different, it'd have been different. This is the way. What it is. It is what it is. And I remember when I stopped perming my hair, my mom was like, what are you doing? And then the funny part is, and she'll tell you this to this day, then the next thing you know, she quit perming her hair. But she had permed her hair for 50 plus years. And I was like, I ain't doing it. This is expensive. I went to school in the country. I said, I can't keep this up, honey. I'm not doing it. We just, whatever Jesus let come out this head is what's going to come out of the head. And I fell in love with it. And, my husband happens to be in the natural hair. So that was a win for me when we started dating. But everyone in my family, I was the person. I stopped, then my mom, then my sisters, then my cousins. But it was like, so y'all were just going to keep perming your hair forever, because that's all they've known. My mom's first question was, well, how are you going to get a job? And I thought, I don't know, but we'll figure it out. But it was a valid concern. Yes. We will talk about it. Yeah, we will. I didn't even think that's a whole thing. But now you guys learned 3 new definitions: passing,
Code Switching and Colorism. So Passing, you can literally look that up on Netflix. Code Switching.
Watch the movie.
Yes, watch the movie.
That will give you a good idea of what it was. And
how it was
very
used.
prevalent.
Yes.
There are actually some books out now.
Yes.
Novels. The Disappearing. Which one?
Look it up.
Let me look it up. There was one that was on the national bestseller just very, very recently.
Yeah, so if you want books, but Passing is on Netflix. You can also look up, and I know sometimes you can look things up on YouTube and purchase them. Imitation of Life is a good one. Pinky is another good one. If you would like an example of code switching, a really great example of code switching can be found on, of all places, Big Mouth. Big Mouth is a really controversial animated series on Netflix. It is hilarious, but it's very inappropriate. There is an episode, and you can just look up Big Mouth Code Switching episode, and it really, really, really describes in every sense what code switching is.
The Vanishing Half.
That's what. Yes, you're right.
That has been on the bestseller list.
I have it on hold at the library.
I believe it's sisters.
Yes,
it's two sisters. One passes and one does not. So it's people are talking about this.
Very, very thought provoking.
So
yeah,
let us know.
I feel like our definition of colorism was really good. That one was an easy one for you all. So those are 3 things that may be new to you. They may not be, but they may very well be new.
So we got to do Sexiest Man Alive, don't we?
I know. I feel like mine is so bad.
Oh.
You go first. I'm going to choose another one.
Well, I don't know why. I kind of
racist
forgot about it too, but I'm going to choose Barack Obama. President Barack Obama.
You know what?
Who is multiracial.
He is. I love chocolate
biracial.
Man. I love chocolate man. But Barack be doing some stuff. Barack is cute.
He is just so...
He is cute.
What's the word? Damn. Swaggy.
He is just suave. And he's so intelligent. Yeah.
So smart.
If you're a sapiosexual, if like intelligence is your thing, just, he could just read me to sleep.
He's all the things.
Who do I want to
All the things. Just so much swag.
He's very, and he's just well spoken and handsome. This is tough, y'all.
Everything.
Everyone I'm thinking of, I feel like I've picked. Give me a second. Ooh. Dang, I picked him.
We can share Barack.
Did I already pick Michael B. Jordan?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, we've had him. No.
Then I will pick Michael B. Jordan because he is so handsome.
Oh, I love him. You guys, he used to be on, this is years ago, on Parenthood. Do you remember Parenthood?
And no one realized it was him.
And he was just a
cute little guy.
I guess he was a young man, very young.
No, he was a kid. He was still a kid.
And he was so cute, and the storyline was so sweet.
Yeah, he's a child actor.
I think that's where I kind of fell in love with him. I think he was either maybe late teens or early 20s. Was he in his 20s? Maybe I'm thinking of him as something else. Because what I'm thinking of, he was a teenager. Like he was on the soaps, and then he was on The Wire. He was on The Wire. He was just a kid, like for real a kid.
Okay, I'm thinking of him as a kid.
Like early teens.
Yes,
maybe.
like 12 to 15. Yes. Okay, yes,
that's what on The Wire. But Parenthood, which was one of my favorite shows.
Did you love
ever? And he was on that, and I would say he was maybe early 20s.
Okay, I don't know how old he was.
But young, very young, and just adorable.
He was adorable, and now he's full.
He's still adorable
to you. He's handsome,
still adorable.
Oh, I hope he's not that young. See, this the only thing about Sexiest Man Alive.
Well, he's probably early 30s.
God, please
I would think.
Let him
I
be.
think he's early 30s.
I can't.
I would put him.
If he's any younger than that.
Well, late 20s.
Let's see. Michael B. Jordan. He ain't my. He's almost my age. He's 34.
Okay.
He was born February 9th of 1987.
Okay. He's a year older than Teddy.
He is an Aquarius, like my dad, like my son. Okay. Explains why he's so handsome. So yeah, no, he's a dating age for me, so I don't feel gross.
Nice guy. Never hear any.
You never hear anything.
About him.
Nope, never.
Sweet guy.
So no, I'm gonna say that. Yeah, nope. He's probably as sexy as Barack Obama.
Yeah, close. I mean, no, Barack. I think Barack has a handle on it. President Obama.
Yes. Let me former President Obama is good. Yes, he's good. So those are our people. I will put a link for the movies we discussed and for the book. We'll put
The
that.
Vanishing Half. Yes.
We'll put those.
We'll put those so you can.
It's just thought.
If anybody has read the book, let us know.
Yes.
And when you watch Passing, hit us up and let you know what you think about it.
Yes. Yes. I'm very, very curious to know what you think of it. Yeah. Is this something you already knew about?
Yes.
Are you sitting here with your jaw history of this dropped open like, wait, what? Because I do. I do have family members, and
I do too.
It's not fair to put everybody, it's not fair to put their business out there. But I do have family members that passed, and descendants of those exact family members. Some of them are still alive, so it can't be that uncommon. If we're two people from two different parts of the world who both have family members that did it. Yeah, so very interesting. But yes, we can't wait to post this and to hear back, to know if this was new to you or shocking or whatever emotion it provoked. Please share with us. You can email us at areyoufreeforcoffee@gmail.com. You can also message us on Instagram, which is also areyoufreeforcoffee. Until next time.
Thanks, guys. I forgot to do Sexiest Man.